Hey, what's going on, YT? It is your girl, TheLeaRae. And you're tuned into The LeaRae Show. So,
I've been shining in the sunlight. I've been thinking how I'm alright.
can we give it up one time for the G7 Mark II, baby? That's what I'm recording on. If you see a difference in quality, please let me know because I can see it. It's giving professional. Let me tell you something. I wanted the G7 Mark II for so freaking long, yo, and I don't even know why I didn't buy it, because it wasn't a question of money or anything like that. It was like me talking myself out of it, because I don't know if you've heard me say on this channel, but I have like buyer's remorse, and I get anxiety, excuse me, about large purchases, and anything over $40 is a large purchase for me. So that part, I am real weird with money, and I don't necessarily have a healthy relationship with money. I'm always trying to hold on to it and hold on to it and hold on to it, and I don't even know why, because there's nothing in my life that caused me to be this way. Maybe it's something that I've just developed from watching other people. Maybe other people's drama and trauma has like imprinted on me and affected me and traumatized me to the point where I just have this weird relationship. But a few $100s on a camera that you really want when you go to work every single day should not be a big deal. So I'm changing my relationship with money, and I'm starting to get the things that I really want and really like, and this camera was one of those things. So what's the point of going to work every day, having a career that you have worked hard for, if you can't get some of the things that you want? I'm telling you this while I'm trying to convince myself of it. My husband, he don't have no problem with that. He just, whatever he want, he go out and get, period. Oh, I want these headphones. They $400. I'm gonna go get these headphones. I want a new MacBook. I want the new MacBook. I'm gonna just go get the new MacBook. I want a truck. I'm about to go get my truck. Like, that's how he operates. Me, I be thinking about stuff like, do I really want the camera? Like, or can I just use my phone? But I really like gadgets and cameras and recording and all this kind of stuff. But do I really should I pay a few $100s, or should I just keep that few $100s and do nothing with it? Like, should it just sit there? Because you never know, like. So I'm getting out of that, and one way I got out of that was, again, the G7 Mark II. So love it. I just had to say that, but that is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to tell you my birth story. So it's not a very like extravagant birth story. It's not a lot to it, but I did want to come on here and share it with you because I've been on go since November, just boom, and really haven't had a minute to just sit down and tell you guys all about it. And here we are, like almost 4 months later, and might as well talk about it. So, as you guys know, if you've been following my page, oh, let me show you something else. Let me just show you something else, right? You know how like YouTubers be like recording, they be like, I made some notes on my phone. Now I can hold my phone because I got my notes in my phone because I got a camera. And I did have a camera. I know I'm going back on it, but I did have a camera before, but it didn't have the viewfinder. Matter of fact, my camera that I had was another Canon that I won in a giveaway from Sarcast. Make sure you go check out her channel. But it was time to upgrade. You know what I'm saying? It was time to pull up to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It was time to arrive, you know? And I have been one of those YouTubers. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I just have to say this because I haven't been on camera in a long time. But I have been one of those YouTubers who did not want to invest, did not want to spend any money, was always trying to find like a cheap, janky way to do things. Like, for instance, when I was doing my overhead recording videos with my budgeting videos, if I showed you my jiggity jank setup, you would be like, yo, creative is not the word. You go above and beyond. But I could just buy an overhead tripod. Why? Because I can afford it. Number one, I go to work every day. YouTube is what I love to do. So why not invest in me? You gotta invest in you, okay? It's no point in struggling trying to do camera setups and when you could just buy a tripod. Are you gonna pay a little bit for it if you want a good one? Yes, but do it. Instead of having to go through all this, getting books, stacking it up, using a weight. I mean, for what? For what? If you are a child, you know what I'm saying, and you don't have money or whatever the case may be, then yeah, you got to make it do what it do. But that was not the case for me. So that's just what it is. But anyway, I made some notes on my phone really quick, even though it's not like a super big story again. So if you have been following my channel, like I said before, I was due on my birthday, which is 10/26. I have to get used to looking into the camera, okay? Because I got the viewfinder up there. Y'all are not going to stop hearing about this camera, I'm sorry. But I was due 10/26, that is my birthday. And I was not happy about being due 10/26. I am getting into the part of my life where things like my birthday really matter. In the past, I wasn't really geeked about my birthday. But like as I'm getting older and as I was approaching 40, because I am 40 now, as I was approaching 40, I was really geeked about my birthday. And like before I knew I was pregnant, and then I was still geeked about my birthday, but that was because they did not tell me that my due date was 10/26. I had no idea my due date was 10/26 until I was in my 3rd trimester. Apparently my due date was it was said to be one thing, but then it was confirmed in the ultrasound that it was actually 10/26, but the ultrasound tech failed to tell me that, so I did not know that. I can't even remember what my original due date was, but it wasn't my birthday. So when I found out it was my birthday, I was not happy about it at all. I do not want to share my birthday with anybody in my family. Like, I do not want to do that. I just want it to be my own. I just want it to be my own day. Really, we be celebrating New Year's. We should be celebrating the new year of us, which is our birthday every single year. You know what I'm saying? So, not saying don't celebrate New Year's, because if it's a day, I want to celebrate it. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. So, I was not happy about that. I was not hoping that the baby would come on my birthday. So, the way it was set up with my doctor was that he was going to let me go like a week after. So if the baby did not come on 10/26 on his own, then I had until November 1st for that baby to come, or else we were going to do a C-section. So they go ahead and schedule the C-section. Now, when I was pregnant with Khaleesi, they did not schedule a C-section because number one, it was my first pregnancy. We were definitely you know, banking on a vaginal birth, so they just waited for me to go in labor. And when I didn't go into labor, a week after, they decided to go ahead and induce me and then see if I would go in labor that way. And then like the goal was not to, like, you know what I'm saying, do a cesarean at all. Nor was it the case this time, but I'm just saying, like, they were trying everything to make me go into labor. But with this one, they could not induce me because I had already had a cesarean. And when you have a cesarean and then you're going in for your second pregnancy, I don't know, I'm thinking it would be like this everywhere, but they will not induce you because the risk of the things that can happen as far as your abdominal wall with tearing, being that they're forcing you to have contractions. So it was either I was going to go into labor on my own or they were going to go get the baby. So about 2 weeks before my due date, I wound up going on maternity leave, which was different from when I had Khaleesi because I basically
I'm dying over here.
Because I basically worked until we went on, I think, fall break at my job because I was due around that time or something like that. And I was able to go a week after. This time, this pregnancy was totally different. I was extremely tired. I was extremely exhausted. Like, I just could not do it. And it was common, or it is common, for a woman to go on maternity leave a couple of weeks before her due date. But if all is going well and, you know, you're not having any issues, then you could just work until the baby comes. My issue was fatigue. And the fact that this baby was sitting so low that I had to go on maternity leave because that getting up and going to work, I'm a teacher, standing up. I was not standing up towards the end of it. I was not. I was sitting at my desk, y'all. I'm not going to tell you because I could not. And I wanted to be there at work. It's very hard to get subs in 2022. And we'll just say this day and age. Like, people do not be wanting to sub. So I was trying to stay and I was trying to hang on, but I couldn't do it no more. So I wound up going on maternity leave. And I was really, really hoping that the baby was going to come around 10/26, but the baby did not come. We went all the way until November 1st. So I get to the hospital, y'all, and I'm in a good mood. Okay, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have this cesarean and it's just gonna go, you know, the way it's gonna go, and it's gonna be good, and then we're gonna have a baby in like an hour, right? So I get to the hospital, I'm all ready to go. Y'all, why did I eat that morning? Now, I know that I had a cesarean the first time. However, that was like a different circumstance. Like, that was not like an emergency, but kind of like an emergency cesarean, because Khaleesi had not moved down the birth canal. It wasn't an issue with high blood pressure. I mean, I had absolutely no issues, but I did labor with full-on contractions for 17 hours. And after doing that and her not even coming down the birth canal at all, the doctor was like, I'm going to get the baby. Like, we can't keep doing this. Like, you're just sitting here eating these contractions. Like, we're not going to keep doing this. We're going into day 2 on this. Like, no. So, there was no issues or anything like that. But as far as when you're in the hospital, they don't let you eat. So you're chewing on ice chips, you know, you're doing stuff like that. So food wasn't even on my brain. Now back up. When my doctor's office called, and no, matter of fact, when I went to the last doctor's appointment and they were talking about, you know, getting the cesarean scheduled, because they automatically scheduled it, she was like, I was supposed to have my cesarean scheduled at that last appointment or whatever. Before, it was an appointment before I started going to the 1-week appointments. And for some reason, she couldn't call down the scheduling at that point. I'm talking about she, like the lady in the office who did it. So she was like, I'm gonna call you with the information about the cesarean. So I waited a couple weeks and she never called me. So I called her back. I'm like, hey, like, did you get this schedule? Is it all good? And she was like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, I forgot to call you back. It's been scheduled. You're good. November the 1st, because the doctor said November the 1st, but I was just trying to get it confirmed or whatever. So she didn't go through the normal spiel about what to do this, don't do this, you know, eat, don't eat, whatever. She didn't say none of that. She just confirmed that it was scheduled, and that's all the knowledge that I had in my brain, right? Because I never went to a scheduled cesarean before. So bring it up to November 1st, I had ate breakfast that morning, okay? The fact, going anesthesia, all that, none of that crossed my mind. So when they were asking questions, you know, getting ready, just going over like the nurses and stuff, they asked me if I had ate. I was like, yeah, I ate breakfast. So she was like, okay, you know, hold on just a second. I was like, that's a problem. That's a problem. I wasn't supposed to eat anything for a certain amount of hours because of the medicine that they were going to give me to numb me. Because, you know, they give you, I call it a spinal block, because it numbs you from here. You're numb from here down, right? So apparently I wasn't supposed to eat, and I didn't know that. And that irritated me and gave me anxiety, because the lady who should have told me that I wasn't supposed to eat from my doctor's office, she didn't tell me. So that wasn't even on my brain. If she would have told me, it would have been on my brain. So that pushed my cesarean back like 6-7 hours or 8 hours or something crazy like that. But I was so upset because that was not the way to start, and I was not feeling that, because if you know anything about me, I be trying to do these positive vibes only when it comes to pregnancy, and that was messing up the vibe, and it was their fault because I did not know. So I'm all upset. My doctor comes in, and he comes in, I'm like, doc, I'm sorry. That he's like, no, it wasn't your fault. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to tell you not to eat. We didn't tell you. It's on us. I was like, but by now I'm crying, okay, because the hormones is popping in. And he's like, this is not your fault. So he comes over and gives me a hug or whatever, and he was like, don't worry, we're just gonna swap you and another person, because we're here all day. Like, this is what we came to do, talking about the doctors and stuff. He's like, we're doing this all day, so we need to move people and shift people. He was like, that's why we blocked off for the whole day. So he was like, we're just gonna put you on another time, and that's all that was. So wound up having to sit in the hospital for so many hours, just doing nothing. And then finally it was time to have the cesarean. So when you go to have a cesarean, it's kind of crazy. You go into the OR, and these are absolutely the brightest lights you have ever seen. Like, you think I got one too how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 vanity lights and a ring light that I don't have to. You think I got lights? No. If you ain't never been in an OR, you ain't seen lights. So you go into the room and there's it's like I want to say like a cardiologist, anesthesiologist, is the OBGYN. It's just like nurses. It's like all these people, right? And they getting stuff and tools and all this kind of stuff ready. You walk in, you literally see all of this, and then you got to sit up on the table, and you sit on the edge of the table, and then the doctor, there's a doctor, I can't remember what he was he the cardiologist, one of them, but you put your hand on his shoulders, right, because he's standing in front of you, and then you lean over and he helps you get your spine real rounded. But I was able to do that because I already knew what time it was, because I already did this. So I'm hunched over like this, and then they get the needle and they be like, all right, they spray something on the back, like they rub that brown stuff. I don't know what that is, but they get the needle and then they start feeling on your back, because they want to get the needle between the vertebrae, right? So they start feeling on your back, and then when he found his good spots, they say, okay, a little pinch, and they just go ahead and stick that needle into your spine. And y'all, I promise, if you ever got a shot in your arm, wherever, that's all it feels like, okay? It's not, I know the needle, if you see it, it may look big. I'm not kidding you. It does not hurt, y'all. It feels like, I'm not gonna say it feels good, because, you know, getting a shot or whatever doesn't feel great, but that's all it feels like. Why is the baby crying? Adrian's supposed to be watching the baby. That's all it feels like, is just getting a shot anywhere else, okay? This is for my people who may be getting ready to have a cesarean or something like that. Do not trip, okay? That's all it is. It's just a regular shot. And then as soon as that happens, you start to go numb. And it takes a while, but very quickly you lose like the ability to like lift your legs. So they want you to get over here and do this before you just go completely numb, and then you're like, you know, like dead weight, and they're having to, you know, and I ain't skinny mini over here, you feel me? So anyway, they do that, and then they put the screen up. It's all these people, they're doing this. The anesthesiologist is talking, and he stands right here. The anesthesiologist is always right here. He was on the left side before, and he was on the left side this time. And the crazy thing about being, I'm sorry if you hear the baby's just crying, but the crazy thing about being in surgery, especially when you're awake for a major surgery, is everybody's having these conversations around you. Regular, everyday conversation. He's like, yeah, you know, it's my last one today, you know, then I'm gonna go home. We supposed to be going over here. I'm like, hello. Can you focus in on what? And I know that they're focused, because it's just like another day at the office for them. This is what they do, you know what I mean? And actually, if you talk to them, it will probably calm you down. But I be nervous anyway. You would be nervous too. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be nervous anyway. But like I said, talking to them would calm you down a little bit. But I was so nervous to the point that I was trembling, like my arms were doing this. And they thought I was trembling so hard that they thought I was cold. So I think they had took my temperature at one time and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, all that's happening, and they're checking stuff, and he's flushing stuff. The anesthesiologist is flushing stuff through your IV. It makes you, you know, to help with the nausea and all this kind of stuff, because you're probably gonna get nauseous. And then they bring Adrian in. Okay, so right before the doctor is getting ready to cut you open, because they don't want you to, I don't know if they had cut me before, but anyway, when Adrian walks in, it's like the nurses and the doctors, they line up against the OR table. It's like to block him from seeing what's kind of going on, so everybody's anxiety don't be on 10, you know what I'm saying? So he comes, and then he sits down, and then the curtain is still up to where he can't really see around it either, right? So he's sitting there, and you know, they're asking me about, do you feel this, and once you can't feel, you know, nothing, you will feel pressure, but you will feel no pain, right? So once it's all good to go, all right, you start hearing them talking medical talk, talking about, okay, we're doing this now, and it ain't really like, okay, we're about to take the scalpel and we're about to cut her open. It ain't talk like that. It's just like little subtle things that if you really paying attention, you kind of know what's going on, but you really got to be ear hustling, because it ain't like they loud in there and whatever. And then the whole time, like I said, the anesthesiologist and the nurse and the cardiologist and all these people are having a regular conversation like they at the cookout. So yeah, they doing that, and then all of a sudden I hear the anesthesiologist go, "Oh my God, oh my God." I'm like, anesthesiologist, what was his name? Hunter or something like that? Hunter, what is wrong? I don't know if his name was Hunter. It was something like that, because my first anesthesiologist with Khaleesi, his name was Steven, because I kept going, "Steven, I'm getting nauseous, Steven." That's how I was talking to him. So I'm like, "Hunter," literally looking up at it, "Hunter, what?" He was like, "Oh my gosh, the baby is so big." I'm like, what? So now everybody's like, I'm talking about everybody on pause in the OR. Me and Adrian can't see nothing, so we don't know what's going on. We know that they saying the baby big, but that's all we know. They're like, "Oh my gosh, he's so chunky, and then the anesthesiologist goes, "He just keeps coming, oh my gosh, he's just so big." And then when they took baby Trey out, the whole OR was like, and it was like, "Oh my gosh, he's so big," right? I'm like, really? So I immediately start thinking about how, you know, Khaleesi, what was she, 7 pounds? Dang, 7 pounds something ounces. I can't really remember. I know people remember stuff like that, but I don't. It's literally on her wall in her room. But she was a little bit over 7 pounds, and I just remember she's just like a little tiny little thing, right? So they was like, "Oh my gosh, so big." So y'all, when they held Trey up like Simba and they brought him around that curtain, I was like, "Oh my goodness, he is so huge." So they trying to get a weight on him, right? So now they doing all their things or whatever, and then they put him on the scale, and they call out the weight. They went 10.5. The whole OR was like, "Oh my gosh, 10 pounds 5 ounces." Like, he was huge, y'all. Let me tell you something. Baby Trey was the most popular baby in the hospital during that time, because 10 pounds 5 ounces is huge, okay? So, you know, had him, and then after that, everything, you know, went good. I actually went back to my room, and I was still awake, because the first time when I had Khaleesi, after I had the cesarean, I went to sleep, because remember, I had labored all day that day. That wasn't the case. So I was still up, went back to the room, started hanging out with baby Trey and everything like that, and it was all good. Roll them over a second.
I got you. I know it's cold. I know. But you just wait. You just wait. So did you wait? Next.
You got somewhere to tuck it. You should be able to tuck it at the top.
That's what. These blankets.
What's that noise you making? Did you tuck?
It's hard to tuck these ones. The ends don't be real long.
Good morning, people. It is the next day. Good morning, people. I can't talk. It's the next day. And I just sent for baby Trey. He's in the nursery. We sent him to the nursery about 10 a.m. He was up every hour on the hour. I was breastfeeding and supplementing a few ounces with formula, because he's such a big baby. Like, he's huge, and with big babies, apparently they're concerned about their blood sugar dropping. So I'm not opposed to formula. So she asked me if I wanted to supplement, because I didn't see where I had started expressing milk. So I said yeah, but I did start expressing milk. I think it's just that thick stuff, I forgot what it's called at first, that's very nutritious for the baby. Well, breast milk is, but this stuff is like really, really good. I think it starts with a C, and that started coming out. So I was really happy about that, and he drank that.
And then he had a little bit of formula each time. And then at like 1 o'clock in the morning, he projectile vomited. It came out of everywhere. His mouth, his nose. But it's okay though. But we couldn't keep our eyes open. So here at this hospital, they let you take your baby to the nursery. And you can keep your baby there. And as long as there's no problem, they'll keep them. So new moms out there, send your baby to the nursery, okay? Because you're going to be walking around like a zombie at the house. You need to get rest right now. So I just sent for him. They're going to bring him in a few minutes. They did bring me something to eat. I can eat now for the first time. So I ate the bacon out of there and had some of the orange juice and a few pieces of the biscuit. They have some grits, but the grits wasn't hot. And I don't be liking like run-of-the-mill eggs, like just from like a hospital or something. So I told Adrian to get me some Waffle House and some coffee. Because they sent some coffee, but that coffee ain't good. And yeah, I'm just chilling. This is where Adrian slept. And this is the room. Nothing really to it. They tried it with that TV though. And then back here, I got like a sink, and here's the bathroom. And that's it. My pain level is fine. I'm in minimal pain. I'm probably like a level 4 out of 10. And they said the scar looks really good. They just went into the same incision that they went into before. And everything went textbook. And it was fun times in the OR yesterday. Yeah. So, just gonna chill out and wait for the baby. It's like 8:30 now. Yeah. Gorgeous. You see that baby, girl?
He's sleeping.
Yeah. Come by daddy so he can hold you up. Put your cup down. Who's that, Khaleesi?
Trey.
Yeah. You see him? That's your brother. He was in my belly. Now he's not in my belly no more. Are you excited?
Moving.
He's moving.
Now, I will say this, I was disappointed that I didn't have a vaginal birth, because I didn't have a vaginal birth the first time, and I didn't have a vaginal birth this time because neither one of my babies would come. So I was highly disappointed about that, but the doctor said, like in the OR, like he was glad that I had a cesarean because the baby was just so big, and baby would have wrecked shop, okay? So it's a blessing at the end of the day, and I have to constantly convince myself of that, because it's just some things that you want to experience in life, and sometimes you just may not get to experience them. And this is one of those things, because I'm not having any more kids, so I just won't get to experience that. But I guess it wasn't meant for me to experience, you know. Another thing was that I didn't have any visitors in the hospital this time. The first time I did have visitors, but this time no. And it just was what it was. I mean, kind of feel some type of way about it, but what can you do? I guess it wasn't meant for me to have any visitors. My mom didn't come down this time, and that was just due to the fact that she wanted me to make arrangements for her to come down. But when I was getting ready to have the baby at the end, like in the 3rd trimester, I could not fathom like arranging that. I had no energy to do anything. And you know, my mom is going to be 73 years old, and you know, I would just have had to coordinate the trip, which I have done for her in the past, but I just didn't have it in me, so it just never happened. I do wish maybe like my siblings could have stepped up and coordinated it for her, because she needs help making arrangements, but it just didn't happen, and that was what it was. But I will say that I have a very good support system down here, and even after he was born and when I went home, I had help. So it's not that I didn't have help, it's not that I didn't have a support system, but it's like you want certain people to be there, and those certain people just were not there, and it just is what it is. But like I said, I had the baby November 1st, and then we went home on November 4th. So that's what it was. Later on, about a week later, I began to have complications that I'm not going to get into right now, but when I tell you those complications turned my world upside down, that is another story for another day. But that is my birth story, you guys. I wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed that story. And if you have any questions about anything pertaining to birth in that manner, or anything else just surrounding that, just go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, people, peace.